Hey everyone, welcome back to the We Are the Church YouTube channel. Today is our final day of what we have been doing all week long. We have been going over the Passion Week story, talking about what happened this day in history all week long, leading up to what tomorrow is, Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. It's been a big week, everyone. And the reason that we've been doing this is because our heart is to help you connect to the Easter story that much more. I remember when I was in Bible college and I had the opportunity to first study the Passion Week, what happened for me was I felt like by connecting to each day a little bit more and understanding what happened the week leading up to Easter, it made Easter feel that much more real to me. It made me feel like I was able to connect with God that much more on this celebratory weekend. Easter is, if you think about it, it really is the largest, the greatest event to happen in the history of the world. When Jesus overcame death, hell, and the grave, he changed the world forever. And that's what you and I get to celebrate. And so for those of you who have not had a chance to watch this week's videos, I want to encourage you before watching tomorrow's Easter special, which I'm really excited about. I want to encourage you to go back and watch each of those videos to help you connect to the Passion Week. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Holy Saturday. Holy Saturday is recognized by some Christians as the seventh day of the Passion Week. And they consider this to be the day where Jesus rested from his work of salvation, his work of providing salvation to the world. You see, as Jesus was crucified on Good Friday, which we talked about yesterday, he cried out, "It is finished," signifying that there was no further work needed to be done in order to atone for sin. And ultimately, the price for sin had been paid. However, for those who were living in this time, Saturday seemed to be this elongated, dramatic pause in the angelic realm, because this was a day where people mourned. People sat in silence. They experienced no movement from God. It was silent. Jesus had been crucified. He had been buried in his tomb, and Saturday was a day of silence. Anticipation for some, as they were hoping that what Jesus said was actually true, and mourning for those who had actually forgotten that Jesus promised what he would do on the third day. What's important to notice is that the crucifixion is one part of this story, but the story's not over until there's a resurrection. Our faith is actually futile if there is no resurrection, if Jesus does not do what he declared he was going to do, which is raise from the dead and defeat death, hell, and the grave. What humanity needed was yet to be completed on this day. Saturday was this pause, this waiting, this anticipation for Jesus to fulfill what he said he was going to fulfill. People were mourning on this day. The disciples were literally in hiding on this day, trying not to get crucified themselves because they were associated and affiliated with Jesus. People today were wandering, were scattered, were lost, were disunified, all because of the silence. As people were in hopes, as people tried their best to muster up some sort of faith, some sort of hope that Jesus would actually do what he said he was going to do. You see, the resurrection is needed in order for our faith to be true. And Jesus promised that he would raise from the dead. And that promise shows us two things. Number one, it shows us that Jesus is actually God, that he is all powerful, that he is the one that can overcome death, hell, and the grave. But then number two, it shows that we actually serve a God who keeps his promises. Even a promise that seemed impossible to all of humanity, overcome death, that's the promise that you're going to make to us. Yes, and that promise he kept. We serve a God that is all powerful, and we serve a God that keeps his promises. today was a silent day. Today was a day of confusion for a lot of people. And so today, I want us to look back and try to set ourselves in that scene and imagine what people would have felt as they were waiting. And as some had given up waiting and just tried their best to continue on with life as it was before Jesus. But then also I want us to take a moment and apply our knowledge to what today is. You see, we know that Sunday is the day of resurrection. Sunday is the day where our faith would actually be made true, where Jesus would actually prove himself to be who he said that he was. Sunday is just around the corner. And so I want us to reflect on what today must have felt like, but then also remember the reality that God is faithful and resurrection is true and that Jesus is the one true God. Today, take some time and reflect on God's word, reflect on what happened in history, and prepare your spirit to celebrate Easter greater than you ever have before. I pray that this week has been a week that has helped you to dive into your word, has been a week that has helped you to dive into the story of Easter so that when Easter comes, we can celebrate like never before in a greater capacity than ever before because we recognize the severity, the weight, the power of the story of Easter. The power of the resurrection. I pray God's blessing on you today. Join us tomorrow as we actually get to release our Easter special. I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely amazing. God bless you. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.